love that baseball season is back because we get to talk to smart people like Harold Reynolds from MLB Network. I want to remind you, MLB Network is airing live spring training games every day, including an upcoming Orioles game on March 9th, which will be available here to watch in Baltimore. You can also watch Harold on the Emmy Award-winning MLB Tonight throughout the season. Harold, thank you as always for your time. We appreciate it. So the Orioles were very active this offseason, but do you feel they did enough?
You know, I was worried early on, you know, when you made the trade to Grayson Rodriguez and you started making some moves, I was like, uh-oh. But, yeah, I think they've done enough so far. Obviously, the injury to Holiday is going to set them back a little bit, and Westberg as well. But I think overall, I got to tip my cap to Mike Elias. I start off worrying, and I feel pretty good right now as the season's going. And the Pete Alonso deal is just, that's over the top for me. That's a huge move.
Harold, I think the one move that a lot of people in Baltimore were hoping was a frontline starter, but someone that we talked about earlier on the show, Trevor Rogers, who was fantastic for them last year, pitching to an ERA below 2. It was only 18 starts. That being said, are you expecting him to be an upper echelon pitcher this year?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I was probably the only guy – I know I was the only guy on our network when the trade happened and he came over from the Marlins initially. I thought it was a good move. He did not pitch well after the trade deadline and went on, and then last year turned it around. I just thought from what he'd already done before in his career in Miami would translate easy. Obviously, he had some mechanical issues. He worked it out with the Orioles, and I think they got an ace. I just think he's big, strong, durable. This guy's 6'3", 230 pounds. He can 6'4", 6'5", I should say, and he throws a lot of innings. I think he's going to be a guy that can be a frontline starter.
Talking with Harold Reynolds' Inside Access here on The Fan. A guy that I'm very intrigued to see this year is Shane Baz, who made his spring training debut today. Struck out 4 and 2 1/3, had 8 swing and miss. Where are you on Baz? He's a guy I know a few years ago the Rays thought he might be a top of the rotation guy. Had the Tommy John. What do you think of Baz?
Electric stuff. Overpowering fastball, and he can pitch at the top of the zone. I think he goes after hitters' weaknesses really well. And I think we haven't seen the best of him. He's a guy very similar to so many pitchers in the major leagues that they just don't have that top-end experience yet, and he'll just get better with age. If he stays healthy, you know, we always got to throw that in there with everybody. The pitchers throw so hard now, they get way more injuries. But I think he's got ability to be a number 1 type starter, but if you can slide him in at a 2 or a 3 right now, I think you're going to get great benefits from him. And I do like the fact that he's been in the AL East before. I think that plays a big part. I've watched guys go from the Central to the East, and it's just not the same. I mean, you look at the lineups in the American League East, and part of it's intimidation, and the other is comfort. And once you get past being intimidated with those deep lineups, then your talent shines forward. And I think that's a guy we're talking about in Baz.
Harold, one reason why the Orioles really underachieved last year is you saw a lot of their young players regress, and Adley Rutschman certainly fits that bill. But it's been a year and a half now since the second half of 2024. Adley Rutschman just hasn't been that good of a player. Can he regain that 2023 first half of 2024 form where he was an all-star catcher?
Well, I sound like Mr. Optimist today because I think so. I do. Look, here's what happens. A lot of times these guys play through injuries, and Adley played through injuries. And I know you want to be the macho guy and you want to get out there and you want to help your team, but what happens a lot of times, you don't get credited. And the next thing you know, you've had a bad run and you've been out there playing injured, and people don't know it. Look at Ellie De La Cruz, for example. First half of the year last year, he has 19 home runs, and nobody can talk about – I mean, he's in every conversation. Second half, he tries to play through an injury and plays every day, and his numbers were awful. And he dropped from, I think he's one of the best shortstops to – and I think that's what's happened with Adley. He's a guy that he channels the pitching staff great. Everybody's enthusiastic about him. He's got to learn at the big league level, too. adjustments and struggle and all those things. And an injury hits in the middle of his adjustment time, and we buried him. So this is a big year. I got to see where he stands. I've known Adley for most of his life, so I'm a big Adley fan. But I am realistic, and I really believe that he's going to bounce back and turn this thing around.
Talking to MLB Network's Harold Reynolds, Inside Access here on The Fan. A guy that is very intriguing to us because you mentioned at the top they traded Grayson Rodriguez for Taylor Ward, and because of Pete Alonso and because of these Gunnar Hendersons and Adley Rutschman, we don't talk as much about Taylor Ward, but I'm super intrigued to see what he brings to this team. And I'm also fascinated with the new ABS stuff because he's so patient at the plate. I think he's going to be a fascinating case study with the ABS.
Yeah, it will. And yeah, he's going to be one of those guys. We were talking about this the other day. What guys do you sit there and say, all right, I'm going to trust his strike zone over the system? And Ward drops in that conversation. It was him, Soto, a couple of other guys we were talking about. But, Taylor, again, here's a guy who he's played now, and he's backed his numbers up for a couple seasons. And I think he's going to be fantastic out here. That's a big ballpark he plays in Anaheim. And to put the numbers up he did out there, you're going to well, it was Oakland 2 years ago, last year Sacramento, but you're playing in big ballparks. Seattle, you're going there a number of times, Anaheim, and he's putting up big numbers. So I think putting him in the AL East and hopping into Baltimore in the summer, going to New York in the summertime, Fenway Park, he's a big pull hitter. I think his numbers are going to hold.
Harold, Gunnar Henderson, he dealt with injuries as well last year, the intercostal strain during spring training, and then shoulder impingement that really zapped him of his power. He hit his 17 home runs. Are you expecting a big bounce back for Gunnar? And also, would you like to see him back in the leadoff role this year?
This is good. Well, definitely while Holiday's out, I would not have a problem putting him back up there. I think Gunnar's going to bounce back. He's one of the best players in the league. And, again, it's almost like the tale of two stories with the Orioles. If they stay healthy and their guys get healthy, they'll play at the top of the division like they're supposed to. If they're not, they'll be down at the bottom. And that's what we saw last year. Gunner's a big part of that. Holiday's already injured. Hopefully he comes back. Adley's a big part of that conversation. You can go around the diamond, and they all have to be healthy. I'm not saying they got to have career years, but if they're healthy and play like they're capable of, I think the Orioles are going to be battling for the division title.
Well, that leads me to, Harold, this division seems like a gauntlet. Obviously, the Red Sox added some pitching. The Blue Jays were a couple outs away from winning the World Series. Yankees are running it back, a team that made the playoffs. We don't know what the Rays are going to be, but they always seem better. How do you stack this division right now?
It's the best in baseball. Most competitive, probably spent the most money to fight the other teams off, and you better get off to a good start. It intrigues me with the Yankees because we're all talking about the Yankees coming back, but the start of the year, Cole and Rodon and most of their pitchers are still injured, and they don't come back till early May probably, something like that. So maybe end of April, 1st of May. But you can be out of it in this division. You have to get off to a fast start. The Red Sox are way improved, and that was the team last year that kind of played about 50-50, gave some people some wins. I think they're better. They're going to be more experienced. They're very young. And the Yankees have to hold on early, and then that's the team I think you're going to have the most trouble with of all the clubs. Toronto, I think losing Bichette, you got some question marks out there with guys that are going to move around. How will they really do? I think they step back a little bit, but not much. So I see this division 3-4 games separating probably three clubs at the top.
Harold, we're all really fired up for opening day, less than a month away, but we have been taking the temperature of all the national guys that we've been having on about the upcoming CBA expiring in December, and now you're seeing some reports of salary cap limits and salary cap floors out there. The Tony Clark debacle that happened last week. Do you think we're heading to a contentious lockout? And also, as a former player, do have a happy medium where these two sides can meet in the middle, whether it's a salary cap, whether I don't know what it could be?
Well, the human side of me says, I hope they can get this thing settled early. The baseball player in me says, buckle your seatbelts, enjoy the summer. It's going to be an amazing season, and nothing's going to get done to the 11th hour. And that's just where I think we're going to be. I don't think, as many others do, that it's going to be as long as a lockout, but I do think that there'll be some contentious time, but I don't think anything's going to get done this summer unless there's a miracle. And I hope it does, but I just don't see anything happening this summer. You hear a lot of reports like we're hearing now. You hear a lot of things. That's why I say fasten your seatbelt. Don't believe everything you're hearing. Everybody's jockeying. But at the end of the day, I don't see anything happening until after the World Series.
Harold, before we let you go, so Bone, my co-host, is young and he don't know stuff. And I told him you led the league in stolen bases one year, and he was shocked to hear that. And I also told him you have a really funny story of Ricky Henderson calling you after you won the stolen base title. Could you please tell Tim that story?
All right, man, I'll give it to you straight. It's one of the greatest stories ever. Ricky Henderson always talked in the third person. Like I'm sitting here now talking to you guys, and we could be playing cards, and he'd go, Ricky got a sweet hand. Ricky got an ace, and he's always talking in third person. So I had known him for a little bit, but didn't really have a real close personal relationship with Ricky at this time. So I win the stolen base title. He'd been winning every year in the 80s. This is 1987 now. He's averaging 100, 110 stolen bases a season. So he gets injured in May. He's already got about 30 stolen bases in May, off to another 100 stolen base season. I get 30 at All-Star break, and then Willie Wilson and I are tied on the last day of the season. Ricky's been injured out all the rest of the year from May on. We each have 59. I steal a base. Willie does not. I win the stolen base title. I get home the next day. It was on the last day of the season. I get home the next day. My phone rings. This isn't no caller ID. It isn't cell phones, nothing like that. Pick up the phone on the cord. Hello? And he goes, Henderson here. I say, hey, what up, Rick? I'm figuring he's calling to congratulate me, right? He goes, 60 stolen bases? You ought to be ashamed. Ricky has 60 at the All-Star break. Click. And hung up the phone.
No way. You didn't even get a word in.
Oh, Harold. Yeah.
So, in my office here at MLB Network, he signed a poster when he got in the Hall of Fame. He was out here to the network after they do the whole thing, and he signed a poster. He brought a poster with him from Oakland, okay? Knew he was going to be at MLB Network, and he signs it. Stolen base champ, Ricky Henderson.
Harold Reynolds, that's awesome. Great. You're the best. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you again as the season gets going.
All right, go Orioles. It's going to be a fun year. I'll
yes.
see you guys.